Right, let's get on to the graphite. Now, graphite probably more known to people in the generation before for your golf shafts, but now very popular in this battery electric revolution. We're getting on to Talga. Talga. TLG is the ticker. Just been given environmental permits for their Swedish graphite mine, natural graphite. And we're going to go into the difference between natural and synthetic. JD, take it away, mate. Give us the graphite go.
Yeah, so this is actually quite a big deal. It's been quite hard for a long time to turn a resource into a mine in Europe. So getting the permitting is a key step in the process. Talga is a company that really prides itself on being vertically integrated, from being a mine to being able to produce that anode at the end. So in addition, I think it's worth remembering that their resource and the proposed anode processing facility are both in Europe. So this ties in really well with a lot of announcements we've seen over the past couple of weeks. The EU came out with their critical raw materials regulation just a few weeks ago, and this is aimed to bolster the EV and the clean energy ecosystem within Europe. So one of the numbers that stood out there for me was that they want 40% of the materials used in EVs to be refined, so not sourced but refined from within Europe. So that really makes Talga stand out as a strategically important asset. And I think that'll go a long way to converting their non-binding offtake agreements that they have with car makers such as Mercedes into binding agreements that'll mean the funding of the project is one step easier. So Talga is a company with a large following, a strong presence in the retail investor space. And I think there's sort of two facts about the company that really stand out to those investors. So firstly, like you mentioned, they're going to produce graphite and they're going to make an anode product from that. So there's been a lot of debate over the last few years about what sort of battery chemistry will break through and be the dominant battery in the future. And the graphite proportion that's in the anode part of that battery is relatively constant across a lot of different chemistries. So that really stands out. And as well as what I previously touched on, the assets are in Europe. So that makes it stand out from just being an ex-China sort of asset. So if this company goes smoothly from here and progresses into production by the end of calendar year 24, it'll really put it in a sort of league with just a couple other names like Syrah and one or two others out there who are naturally producing, they're producing natural graphite already. So the key next steps to look out for this company are funding that will involve $485 million US in CapEx. I think it'd be pretty reasonable to assume 1/3 of that could come from equity markets and perhaps the remainder in debt, whether that be a portion from offtake agreements as well. And then following on from that, mine construction and production.
Yeah, so for people that don't know, batteries are made up of your anode and your cathode. So when you talk about your nickel and your lithium and all that for the different lithium iron phosphate and nickel, cobalt, manganese batteries, that's your cathode. So, and JD's talking about the graphite, which primarily makes up the anode, which is the other side of the battery. Now, Trav, you had a bit of knowledge on demand and side of things of graphite with synthetic versus real natural graphite. So the Talga is producing a natural graphite, but can that anode be substituted for a synthetic graphite?
I am by no means a graphite expert, so let me just point that one out. However, people in the know tell me that it would be hard to see a very reflexive price movement in the price of natural graphite purely because it is substitutable by synthetic graphite. And a lot of synthetic graphite comes out of China and is produced out of China. And to the extent that this substitute exists, this man-made substitute exists, it would be really tricky to see the same sort of reflexive commodity price movement as you've seen in lithium in recent history. And, you know, if you, as you saw in uranium in the past, these really enormous sort of commodity moves happen because supply is naturally constrained and there are no substitutes.
So I think the thing that Talga would say to your point there, Trav, would be that the synthetic graphite is quite an energy intensive process to produce. And if the ultimate purpose is for a electric vehicle car battery, You'd want that entire process to be using as little energy as possible.
It might be similar to class 1 and class 2 nickel. Might have two different price streams. For the natural graphite would probably, I would assume, get a better price and better favourable by as you said, countries that want to source natural graphite from Europe rather than a synthetic one from China.
Yeah, and I think it's something we've also seen in the copper space with people like Robert Friedland highlighting that copper should be priced in a couple different streams depending on how much energy is involved in the ultimate production of the material.